Hi, welcome to What We Like podcast with Cindy and Sonya as we discuss all things adult. We'll talk about life over 50, friendships, relationships, divorce, dating, work-life balance, eating healthy, and much, much more. Then we'll wrap it up with a buzz session on the latest hot topics. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Thanks.
On today's episode, we'll discuss, can you be friends with someone you used to date?
Okay, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, it would be. It'll be interesting. I also thought it'd be interesting to discuss it from our age versus maybe in your 20s or your 30s or something like that. So, because you've lived a little life at this point. So
One would hope we would be more mature at this point.
I think so. So what are your initial thoughts? Like the first thing that comes to your mind when someone says, can you be friends with someone you used to date? What's your first thought?
My thought is the same as it was actually in my 20s and 30s. I always thought that you could. I always thought that I could. But I've been in relationships where my partner has felt like, no, you can't. Where one has said, well, it's not you that I don't trust, and it's not you that I think isn't really trying to be that person's friend. It's that person. Like that man doesn't just want to be your friend. Like that man is trying to be your friend in hopes that
that you'll give
something has
in.
happened.
Yeah.
Yes. But I always felt like, yeah, I can be friends with someone that I've dated before because been there, done that.
Right.
Don't necessarily want to go back.
When I was younger, I probably was one of those like, I don't know, it's not you, it's the other person. They probably still want you or whatever. I think that goes down a different rabbit hole of trust and yada, yada, yada. But now I feel like, I think you can be friends with somebody you used to date. That person might know you really well as a friend. And I think mature men and women can be friends and not cross the line or, whatever. Just keep it as a friendship level. I probably could have a friendly conversation with probably 99% of the people that I used to date. Not that there's a long list of people,
Same.
but, I could probably,
Right.
I could go to dinner with them. I could, bring my vegan babe with them.
It's actually happened to me recently. Yeah.
I think what's the good part is it's not weird when it happened,
Right.
I think a couple of times when I was much younger, I had some run-ins where it was an ex and a current and me, and it was just so uncomfortable because there was still tension between me and the ex, or at least the current thought there was tension. And so that made it really
So I
weird.
think good tension or bad tension, because the thing that I was thinking of, if it's uncomfortable, is it because one or both of the individuals still have feelings and there's still something there between them, or is it tension because the breakup was not a good one?
Finished. Yeah, so I think that the tension between us is because being around the current made him, the current, uncomfortable. And so then that made
Okay.
exes feel uncomfortable because we knew he was uncomfortable. We were good. Like there was nothing between us and we were fine. But
So what do you do with that?
woo, it was just a really uncomfortable situation for the time that we, So it's a lot of small talk like, "Oh, how are you doing? Oh, okay. What are you doing now? Oh, that's great." And the kids and but yeah, and then to try to weasel out of it really quick, just get out of it as fast as you can. But I think again, that has to do with trust. I can For me now, especially at this age, I just have to trust that you won't cross any boundaries, and then that's all I can do. I
Right.
can't spin wheels wondering what's happening, what's going on. You know the line, and hopefully you won't cross it, you know.
And I would think that it would be easier, or I would hope that it would be easier when you're in a more seasoned relationship. Like I can see
Mhm.
initially, um, even if the person that your ex, even if it's been 5, 10 years ago, but if the new person is just meeting that
Right,
ex, and the new person may have some feelings of insecurity or wondering if there's something lingering or something that's still going on, especially if you and the person have recently broken up. But
right,
I think if you're in a relationship and you've been in that relationship for a while, you know him, he knows you, or vice versa, whatever. He,
right,
the man,
right.
and if you guys are together, and you come across an ex, it shouldn't be awkward
Yeah,
because, like, okay, we've been together how many years? Like,
yeah, yeah. Well, so I had a situation. Um, I There was an ex that we were just hanging out because we all went to school together. Um, and his current girlfriend,
college,
huh?
college.
College. So his current
Was
girlfriend,
it college or high school?
college.
Okay.
So his current girlfriend comes around and she's like, "Yeah, I heard about you two and blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "He told me all that stuff that you were the crazy one in the relationship. I want to hear all about it." And for me, that was a little weird because not that there was any feelings between us. It was just weird. Like, I,
Why would we discuss it?
right. Like, why would you want to know that? And we were very young at that point.
Right.
We talking 20 plus years ago at this time. And she really wanted us to like talk about situations. And apparently he had told her a couple of situations that we had, and she wanted to get into details about that. Just felt weird for me. Like, I was very
Man, why?
uncomfortable.
Why?
Yeah,
Because
I was
it's irrelevant.
very
It was 10 years ago.
uncomfortable. And then even when he started to elaborate a little bit on things, um, then I could tell she was getting uncomfortable. But you asked for this. You can help when we
I
get
was, yeah.
to yeah, she was upset. So that was just a really weird
You care
situation.
for what you asked for?
Yeah, it was just really a weird situation because I didn't want to discuss. First of all, I didn't want to rehash all that. Like, we're in a good
Right.
place. Don't bring it back up for me. We're in a good place. We
Yeah.
hang out at homecoming and that kind of stuff. Let's just leave it there. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was like a really weird situation for me.
Right. I think sometimes it's difficult because sometimes it can be a purely platonic friendship that you have with a person, but it might make your significant other uncomfortable. So,
Okay.
like in that case, what do you do?
I was just going
I
to
mean,
say, what
do
would you
you
do?
forego that relationship, or do you try to get that significant other to understand that there's really nothing there? He doesn't want me and I don't want him. Or if he does want me, I don't want him. Like,
Right.
or do you still communicate with that person unbeknownst to your significant other?
I think that second part could get you into a lot of trouble. Like it just could make things way worse than because then it seems like you breaking some trust. And then that might confirm what they have in their mind because you felt like you had to go behind their back. I don't know. I feel
Is it
like
a don't ask, don't tell policy? So like if it's one where you've had the conversation and you know that he's uncomfortable with it and you continue to do it, okay. Issue. Is it an issue if you guys have never really had the conversation
what.
and it's just one of your friends from the past?
Oh, that's touchy. You know what? And I'm a loudmouth. I tell. I'm gonna tell. So I'm gonna talk about it. I want to be able to talk about it with you. So like if I see, Carlos at the grocery store, I went to homecoming. I want to be able to come back home. If you didn't go, I say, oh, I saw Carlos. We used to hang out, or I saw Carlos.
Okay.
He has 3 kids.
So let's take it from the homecoming. If it's somebody that you dated previously and you see that person, now are you coming back saying that?
Depends on what you know, no, well, it depends on what um, ooh, I guess it depends on what we did, if it was worthy of conversation. Not that we would do something that, I couldn't talk about, but if we did something that
Right.
was worthy of conversation, like, oh, we went to a party or we saw a bunch of friends that we used to hang out with, that kind of conversation. But I would hope that if you know me, then you wouldn't be uncomfortable with me hanging out with somebody I used to date. You know?
Mhm.
Like, so would you come back and have the conversation? I saw so and so at homecoming or whatever.
I mean, probably not, especially if it's not somebody that he knows or somebody that we have talked about in the past. Yeah. For me, there's no need for me to come back home and talk about it because it's like, okay, why?
Yeah.
He would probably be like, who?
Yeah.
Who?
Well, see, I don't have I talk to you and a couple of other people, so he gets a lot of conversation he probably could care less about. And so that would probably be another one of
Yes,
those
ma'am.
conversations that he'd be like, "Oh, really? Wow, sounds like fun." That kind of thing. It would just be something for me to,
Right.
get it out. He gets a lot of those conversations,
Yeah.
so he would
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
would use
Definitely.
that. So, but yeah, it's that's an interesting thing. I think that all boils down to trust, though. At the end of it,
Yes.
all
Yes.
boils down.
And the health of your relationship.
Yeah, and I think you're right.
Like,
If it's a new relationship, you could feel different about it, um, than if it, kind of know each other
mhm.
5, 10 years
And
and everything.
when I think about it, I pretty much always felt this way because when I was in my 30s and 20s, I felt like I could be friends with the ex because I don't have many exes that I can't talk to. Maybe one or two that I can't talk to
Right.
today, because there was just nothing. It wasn't a terrible
Break up.
breakup. Nobody, like physically harmed anybody else,
Yeah.
or it for the most part end up going our separate ways, grew apart, and I still wish the best.
Right.
So, for the most part, I could talk to them. And then also a little bit outside of the relationship, you know, I have always had a lot of male friends.
Okay.
So even some that I didn't actually have a relationship with, but they are friends of mine because as I was growing up, and more so college, after college,
Right.
getting into career and working, guys were just easier because there was less drama.
Yeah.
So that's kind of who I tended to flock to,
Right.
because again, it was easy. There was no drama, there was no backbiting and all of that stuff that when you're a little bit younger you usually get or can
Right.
get from some women. Not all, but some.
Right. Right.
So I've always had a lot of male friends,
Yeah.
and I don't necessarily like, in some cases, like you said, kind of depending on what happened. Like there's some things that have happened, and I would come home and say, "Okay, let me tell you about this,"
Right.
and then sometimes I'm still getting a who.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
unless it's something that is just like kind of out of the norm,
Yeah.
outrageous, or like a funny, let me
Or
tell you
right.
this. Outside of that, I'm probably not saying anything because I'm gonna get that.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think I could be friends with a lot of exes because a lot of our relationships started with friendship. Um, and so we started just kind of not even really dating, but just kind of hanging out, having conversation. I'm a talker. So, most of the people that I've dated are talkers too. So we just started that way. And so it's
Mhm.
easier, like you said, unless there was something horrific and I really hadn't had
Yeah.
that. But it was easier to go back to the friendship part after the relationship kind of faded out and after you have
Right.
that
That's how
period
it
of
started.
that period of not speaking, not talking or whatever. After some time goes by,
Right.
then we could easily go back to the friendship because that's where we started. That was the foundation of it, is just being friends, just kind of
Yeah.
talking, checking in with each other and that kind of stuff.
Right. And then one side of that is, if you can sit there and have a conversation with this person while you're sitting next to Faye,
Yes.
then yeah, that's a sign that there's absolutely nothing going on. In my case, sometimes if I'm sitting there, especially if we're watching TV, I'm gonna get the
Right.
because I tend to talk loud. I'm talking a little bit too loud, so I need to excuse myself.
Right.
Not that I have, it's a conversation that you can't hear, but
Right.
it's like I'm getting a side eye, like, okay, watching this movie.
Right. Exactly. Oh yeah.
But yeah, if it's a conversation that you can have sitting there next to your person, then that's okay, because
Yeah.
you're not hiding anything. You don't need to get up and go into another room.
Right.
So it should be all good.
Oh yeah. All of
Um,
my
do
conversations.
I think everybody can do that?
I don't think so. I I don't think so. I think maturity, um,
Definitely.
trust has a big thing to do with it. Like you said, the length of time of your relationship, because you have to get to know one another to know. Because I'm very talkative, sometimes if you don't know me, that could come across as I'm being flirtatious or something like that. But if you know me, you know that I don't meet a stranger. I'll talk to any and everybody, men,
Mhm.
women, whatever. But if we were in a new relationship, that might come across as me being flirtatious or something. So I think you really have to know the person to
Right, right.
know they're not
So
doing.
what's our answer to this question?
You said what's our what?
What's our what's our answer to this question?
I would say yes, absolutely. You can. As long as you have trust between you, I absolutely say yes, you can. I do think you said something. I do think it might warrant a conversation in the beginning, especially if one person in the relationship does have friends of the opposite sex. Maybe that's a conversation that you have in the beginning so that, you know, I don't see you somewhere with a woman hanging out. We just started dating and I don't know, you know, what's going on. At this big grown age, I probably wouldn't even respond, like whatever. But
Right.
maybe my younger
That
days.
made me think about something when you said that about having the conversation. Because I think the question started out with, can you be friends with an ex? And, you know, we feel like you can.
Yeah.
But going into it, what are your thoughts on um, Bay acquiring female friends after the relationship?
Now, as to the relationship, for me, it would depend probably on the genesis of that relationship. Like you two work together, whatever, and maybe as I'm saying that out loud, I'm not sure I believe that. No, that might be uncomfortable for me. I would probably have to sit on that for a minute. That might be uncomfortable for me because why are you making new female or, women friends? Why? What
Mhm.
what is her purpose? If you already had her, keep her. If she was, a friend or whatever, keep her. Don't, Vegan Bay has friends from the past and we've actually gone out. We've gone to one or two of their weddings and, different events in their lives. So that doesn't bother me. But if he came up with like a brand new friend, hi, this is Lisa. We just started hanging. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I would have to, no, I don't think so. Well, Steph, what do you think? I'll have to think on that. What do you think?
No, I'm okay with it. You know, my bae it like does a lot. Is very active socially with different things, boys, like just different things. And sometimes in the comings and goings and working on different things and committees and sitting on boards, you meet people and um, it might be somebody that you strike up a conversation with. I don't have a problem with that. And I think again, if it's not something that you're hiding, it's okay. I mean, there have been times you come home, he's come home and talk about a meeting and so and so, so and so, so and so, and sometimes so and so is a female.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah. I think it depends on what for me, that would be a good question. I'm thinking, what are you doing in this newfound friendship? Like, are you hanging out?
and maybe friendship. Yeah, and maybe friendship is not the right word because a friend,
Right.
is something different. Like if it could be someone you meet out casually, you
Yeah.
strike up a conversation with, and not that you're hanging out with that person,
Right.
but you would still see that person out casually based on how you guys met.
Yeah.
It could have something to do with work or something
Warfare.
to do with the
Yeah.
board that you're sitting on. So you may come across each other casually, but not that you are hanging out.
Yeah. Now, okay. He has those kind of situations because he's very social. And he knows a lot of people because he's lived here all his life, never moved
Mhm.
away. So he knows a lot of people. There's nowhere we go in the city that we don't see somebody say, hey, or, what you up to?
Yeah.
So because of that situation, there are times where he's in places and spaces with women that he doesn't necessarily know, but are friends of a friend or something like that. And they all, you know, kind of hang out. I don't care about that. Like, I
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I do feel like what you were saying. If as long as you're not hiding it, then
Right.
I feel like it's and I always feel like what's done in the dark will come to light. So
And
even
that was part of it also for me. Like, that's not something that at this age I'm really worried about. I'm not checking, looking, not doing any of that.
none of it,
If it's done and it's for me to know, I will.
I will know.
Until then, I'm
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel the same.
Hey, look, this was a good one, and I think it also one that does spark a lot of conversation and controversy because a lot of people feel like no, it can't, and no, you shouldn't.
Right,
I'm not one of those people, and I see that you're not one of those people, and obviously it has to be the case on both ends because obviously if we have friends of opposite sex and we want the bays to be okay with it, then in
right,
turn we need to be okay with
true,
friendships that they have.
true, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So look, that will take us through that question for this week, and let's do a little buzz session.
Okie dokie, let's do it.
So look, I had Corey Harris.
Okay.
I'm sure you've seen the gentleman that was driving to the doctor
Oh,
and
yes.
decided to log on to Zoom
Oh, bless his heart.
for his court case. And I knew something was wrong. People were roasting him. He's all over the internet. They created memes. And I'm just like, there's something that's just not right with this. Because even the judge was like, why would he do this? Like,
Right,
why? And when the judge said that you need to just turn yourself in by 6 p.m. today, he was like,
right.
well, dude, what are you doing? So, did you hear about what happened?
That he never had a first they were saying that it was supposed to be reinstated, that it was supposed, but later when he went back to court, the judge said he never had a license. He never had a license in the state of Michigan, and he couldn't find where he had a license. So you can have your driving privileges taken without even having a license. So maybe that's what happened. Anyway, did he wind up in jail or something?
I, you know, I thought he was released after he turned himself
Okay,
in, but
yeah.
then there was just
Yeah.
I felt like there was something more to it just because, like, dude, like, what are you
Yeah.
like driving? That doesn't surprise me, but you're logging on to your court hearing,
In
like,
your car.
and
So
then you're saying almost there, pull it in.
what got me was, okay, there were several things. You know that there's something going on with your license because that's the whole reason why you're here. And so you're driving. And then second thing, you're driving on Zoom with with a judge and a lawyer, knowing that you shouldn't be driving on Zoom, even if your license are in great condition.
I don't think they would want you to drive on Zoom. Like, yeah, I agree. So hopefully he gets that taken care of.
I hope
And if he
so.
doesn't have one, hopefully he gets one. If he has one and it just needs to be reinstated, hopefully they reinstate it. Like, I would need something from the court to carry with me in my
At
car
all
because
times. Yes.
like
Yes.
that's weird. And the other one that I had was Caitlin Clark
Well,
did not make the USA Olympics basketball team.
but should she have? I mean, should she have? ESPN did the top six, top 10 or top eight or whatever it was. She was number six. So should she have made the team?
Some say she should have,
Because
based on her stats versus but it was twofold. I think I've heard based on her stats. Right now are better than a couple of people on the team.
Okay.
For
With
that reason,
rookies?
and no.
Oh, okay.
Season players. I mean, a couple like really good players, but just kind of at the tail end of career.
Mhm.
She has better stats, and then there was also a thing of the top pick has made the team maybe 4 out of 6 times or something like that. And then the other thing was, um, she should have made it just because of her popularity.
Mm. Okay.
So
So
what do you think?
okay, so my thought is, first off, again, let me preface it by saying I don't watch a lot of games and I don't know a whole lot, but um I read that her stats are great, but also I read that she was still in the final four when they were doing training camp. And so that's why one of the reasons why she couldn't have made the team. My second thing is, just because she's popular, does that mean she should have made team? Um, and I don't
That
know.
was one of the
No.
based on the fact that it would have sold uh, more jerseys, it would have garnered more viewership. Yeah.
Okay, so about that, like, I feel like we're forgetting that she's not the only reason and the only one that's selling out the arenas for their teams. She's not the only reason why more people are watching the WNBA. I mean, other people watch other
And that
people, you know, who's
and
saying,
that's what they were saying. People do watch. People are watching more now for a variety of different reasons.
right.
People have, and also this um, class that came out, it was a lot of really good players. I haven't looked at the numbers, so I don't know. I'm going based off of commentary. They're saying that the her games for her team, and when they are playing another team, they'll get. I think they said what 17,000 um, people in attendance, but the other games are less than half of that viewership. And they're saying this is on for her team, and then when her team is playing another team, when she is present, she's selling out arenas, or I don't know if she's selling out arenas, but she's getting 2 and 3 times the attendance that some of the other teams are getting. Haven't looked at those numbers myself, but I heard that on one of the sports shows today.
So I also heard that they talk about what she brings to the table, but because they're not talking about what other people bring to the table, how the Angel Reese and whatever the girl's name that was number one, Angel Reese was number two, and her name starts with an A. She was number one. They were saying that she brings a lot of people to her games, but because we don't talk about it, it's going to seem like Caitlyn is the only one that's bringing people in, So I think it's a matter of not just regular everyday people talking about it, but the sports, newscasters or sportscasters and journalists, they solely talk about
Mm-hmm.
Caitlyn Clark. You rarely hear them, unless they're saying something negative, they talk about Angel Reese and some of the other players. They solely talk about Caitlyn Clark. So, yeah, if that's all we hearing about is what she does, then it's going to seem like she's the only one who's doing something. That's all you will talk about. So I think that's me personally, I think it's by design that we only talk about her. And so, yeah, it seems like she's the only one that's doing something. She's the best on the team. I was watching a lot of TikTok videos when ESPN came out with the list. A
Mhm.
lot of people in the comments were saying, "Oh, that can't be true," or a lot of people were questioning where the list came from. And then when people would say, "Well, it came from ESPN," like it's not something people were just making up and posting on TikTok.
Right.
It came from ESPN. Then people would have a long list of reasons why it was wrong. Oh, well, you're not taking in consideration she did this or she did that or whatever. Um, but
A lot of people were surprised that she wasn't on the list. Shannon Sharp said on his show, podcast Nightcap, that I think he felt like she should have been on there just because it would garner more attention to the team and based on her popularity. And then he also quoted her stats against the stats of somebody else. Because when he said it, Chad was like, okay, so who on the list would you take off to replace, her with? Like, who would you remove to put her on the list? And one of the ladies, a veteran, he was matching
there's that.
their stats, and she was better.
Okay. Well, I mean, I I can't take away that she's a great player because I don't watch her. I can only go by what people are saying. And people are not
Mhm.
disagreeing that she's a great player. That's not the issue. I think the issue is, does she deserve to be put in spaces and places just for popularity or, whatever? But I mean, if her stats were better, I read that the reason why she didn't make it was because she was still in the Final Four, and that was
Mm.
when they were doing training camp, and so that was one of the biggest reasons why she didn't make it.
Right.
I mean, to me, that sounds plausible, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And that could be it because I would think if they could get her in, they probably would.
right,
They've done everything else.
yes, yeah, they have, and I just wonder, what does it feel like for her having all of this pressure or, the weight of
It has to
everybody
be
else.
a lot.
Yeah,
It has to be a lot because you're in her case. I think she's getting a lot of love and accolades from people, but it puts a target on her from a lot of the people in the league. And I think that coming in, she would have a certain level of target on her just because she's a rookie and she's really, really good. So,
yeah.
I mean, because they've shown Angel um, Wilson, I think is her
Reese?
last
Oh,
name,
okay.
Candace Parker, when some of
Yeah,
these ladies came in as rookies, they got some of those hard fouls, got pushed down, just
yeah,
physical, physical, physical. But they were just really dealing with being a rookie in the league. Well, she's dealing with being a rookie in the league, but then having this spotlight, which is causing more than people. It's like, okay, because I think it's one thing if you come in and you were really, really good in college, and then you have veterans in the league saying, okay, well, we're going to see really how good you are. You was good there
right,
with the kids. Now you're here with women. So let's see if it transcends over. But then, so she's dealing with that, which she would have already. But
right,
then all this light that they're putting on her in the press, it kind of, I think, ignites and take to the next level how she's being treated. Because I'm sure some of these ladies are like, okay, in her class,
right,
look, I was just as good as you. I did just as much as you. I had good
right,
numbers too. Like, that whole thing. And then also some of the ladies that are already there that feel like they have done a lot to push the league to the next level. Like a lot of stuff that they have been working on throughout the years that could be coming into fruition now that they are giving her the blame for.
right.
Like, I wouldn't like that either.
I you
And all the time, people are saying, be appreciative of what you're getting and the person that's getting it for you. That I
Right. And like saying that they're jealous of, her. I heard even I think it was like Shannon Sharp or some of them saying there was some jealousy because of her popularity. Um, I mean,
look,
I
it's an
know that
emotion. It's a real emotion.
right. No, so much as being jealous or just being like I would probably be if I'd been here and I've been doing the work and on the team and I'm good. And then a rookie comes along and she's getting the credit for everything. I don't know that I would be jealous. I would probably be annoyed. Like it would be more of like us on the line of anger than jealousy. I would probably be annoyed. Like
Yeah.
I've been here. I'm doing the work.
And
I'm, you
I
know,
think across the board, I think it's a lot of that. There are probably some that are envious, some jealous, and some like, okay, I'm just as good. I've done just as much. Annoyed, angry. I think there's probably a little bit of all of that across the board. And
which is
she's dealing
understandable.
with those emotions. I can see it on both ends. But part of the issue is, I mean, yeah, I don't know what her personality is off the court. On the court,
Right.
yeah, she's talking a lot on the court. She's doing a lot. Um, that's kind of the nature of the game. Um, so a lot of the stuff is being placed on her, and then she's getting the emotions and the reactions from what's being placed on her may not necessarily be fair. Again, I don't know her off the court,
Right.
so I don't really know if it's warranted or not. So
So do you think that she should make some sort of statement or something, or she should just do what she's doing? Just
I
play.
wouldn't. I I would not make a statement because I would be like, look, I didn't ask for it. Um, I'm not. Look, I'm just out here me. I'm doing me. I'm doing what I do. I don't think I would make a statement. Um, her making a statement would probably intensify it, you know, tenfold.
Yeah.
You think a statement
Yeah.
is necessary?
I don't know that she should like come out and do like a formal statement, but I think maybe something like what Angel Reese and some of the other players are doing, like when the reporters ask dumb questions or, questions, I feel like maybe her response could be a more like all of us kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like
but have you seen interviews?
I've only seen two and um one of them that I saw, she just seemed a little bit annoyed, which was understandable from whatever the question was he asked her. I totally got that. Um,
Hmm.
fair enough. I mean, I'm not saying she owes anybody anything, like to say anything.
Yeah,
I
she
just
doesn't.
think that would, that
It's
would
just
be helpful.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not.
And that's the thing. Yeah, and that is the thing because she could make a statement and then people could love on her even more
Um,
and say, "Oh, she's doing that because they're treating her bad because they're doing this." So, I mean, she could make one and it could make the situation better, or she could make a statement and it could make it worse. Like
yeah.
sometimes it's one of those things that you're damned if you damned if you don't type
True.
thing. I
True.
haven't seen her do but again, I don't watch the fever. Their team is really sorry. Um, I
Yeah.
haven't seen a lot of sound bites where she has done interview.
I've just seen a
So
couple
I
little,
don't know what her thing is or her response to questions.
yeah. But again, she doesn't know anybody, anything. She just there to play ball, and it is what it is. I just think that,
And she might be pooping it up and be like,
yeah,
sorry, not sorry. I don't know what her everyday personality is.
yeah. She seems kind of feisty sometime on the court, though.
She's definitely feisty on the court, but I know that there are some that are like that on the court, but then when they're off, even with the guys, like almost like an alter ego type thing,
Right,
completely
right.
different once they're off. So yeah, she does a lot on the court. She's mouthy.
She mouthy.
She's
In
mouthy.
fact, somebody
Yeah.
pointed out that that's really how a lot of people started knowing who Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and a couple of other ones when they did the whole,
The whole
yeah.
yeah.
So
That's what brought it out.
yeah, that's really how the whole thing got
And
started.
it was really when Angel did it to her, and they were saying she was being a bad sportsman. And then it came out, well, she was just giving her what she gave South Carolina.
Right,
I
right.
think was South Carolina.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah.
And that's on the court action, which happens. But now it's kind of taken on a life of its own. But at the end of the day, they were saying it's bringing conversations about the WNBA. So at the end of the day, it's all good, and all of the ladies will benefit from it.
That's true.
Hopefully they will. Did you have anything for bus sessions?
I didn't. On my list was Caitlin Clark.
Right.
That was the same thing on my list. I've been waiting to talk about that. I mean, and it's making me want to watch the WNBA more, or at least I'm like every few days I'm looking for like what's the latest news or trend from all the players that I know. So
Yeah.
the whole thing,
Yeah.
like you said, has generated a lot of interest.
It has. And what we'll do is we'll keep watching because I'm sure it'll be something else next week.
Oh yeah, I'm sure this will be part of buzz session for next week too.
Definitely. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this week, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Follow us wherever you listen to podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at What We Like.
And remember, do what you like this week.
Because we'll definitely be doing what we like. Bye.